We finally begin with lesson 1 of this method. In this lesson, we will learn how to express want. Of course, this is a very short lesson and it will not comprise everything, but it is important to be able to build simple sentences. In Albanian, there are international words as in many other languages. One of these words is the word coffee, which in Albanian is kafe. Kafe. I want in Albanian is dua. Dua. In the sentence I want a coffee, the article a is usually translated as një. Një. How would you say I want a coffee? First, I want is dua a coffee. Një kafe. Let's put it all together. How would you say I want a coffee? Dua një kafe. Dua një kafe. In English, you would more naturally say I want a cup of coffee. However, in Albanian, the word cup is not mandatory to be used. Another important word is the word for tea, which in Albanian is qaj. Qaj. To remember this word, I will give you a very easy memory trick. Think of going to qajna to drink tea. So tea is qaj. Qaj. How would you say I want a tea? Normally in English you would say I want a cup of tea. But in Albanian it is okay to say I want a tea. I want is dua. A is një. And tea is qaj. How would you say I want a tea? Dua një qaj. Dua një qaj. You may hit the pause button to think, then you will hear the answer. However, if you want to say I want a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, the word for cup is filxhan. 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 One word. When saying a cup of something, a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, you do not translate the of article. So, how would we say I want a cup of tea? I want is again dua. A cup of would be një filxhan, and tea is qaj. So I want a cup of tea would be dua një filxhan qaj. Dua një filxhan qaj. Coffee was kafe. How would you say I want a cup of coffee? Dua një filxhan kafe. Dua një filxhan kafe. Milk is qumësht. 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 How would you say I want milk? Dua qumësht. Dua qumësht. A bottle of is një shishe. Një shishe. As in a cup of is not translated. How would you say I want a bottle of milk? Again, I want is dua. A një bottle of shishe, and milk is qumësht. So I want a bottle of milk would be dua një shishe qumësht. Dua një shishe qumësht. The form of uncountable nouns, such as coffee or milk, does not change after structures such as a bottle of, a handful of, and so on. For countable nouns, we have changes. However, there are exceptions as well. A kilogram is një kilogram. Një kilogram. Only the pronunciation changes a bit. But since kilogram is an international word, the only thing to worry a bit is the pronunciation. So in Albanian we say kilogram, kilogram. A kilogram would be një kilogram. In English we also say a kilo of something to make things easier. So in Albanian we have the same transformation, let's call it this way, and you can also say një kile, një kile. Apple is mollë, mollë. This is a dictionary form, meaning the form you will find this word in the dictionary, which happens to be a noun. How would we say, I want a kilo of apples? Keep in mind that for this noun, apple, the form of it does not change when it is in plural. So again, how would we say, I want a kilo or a kilogram of apples? I want is dua, a kilo of, një kile, or a kilogram of, një kilogram, apples, mollë, mollë. I want a kilo of apples is dua një kile mollë. Dua një kile mollë. For other nouns, however, the plural form is different from the singular form, and sometimes it is very different. But we will deal with this in details in other lessons, as this lesson is more an introductory lesson. Orange is portokall, portokall. Oranges is portokaj, portokaj, portokaj. How would you say, I want a kilo of oranges? I want dua, a kilo of, një kile, oranges, portokaj. So notice the difference. Orange, portokall, oranges, portokaj. How would you say, I want an orange? I want is dua. A or an is the same. So in Albanian it is një. And orange is portokall. How would you say now? I want an orange. Dua një portokall. Water is ujë, ujë, ujë. 3 letters there. Ujë. How would you say, I want a bottle of water? Again, I want is dua. A bottle of një shishe, water, ujë. Let's put it together. I want a bottle of water. Dua një shishe ujë. I want a bottle of milk would be dua një shishe qumësht. Even though this might sound silly, but how would we say, I want a bottle of coffee, just for the sake of practice? Dua një shishe kafe. A glass of something is një gotë, gotë, një gotë. A is një and glass is gotë. I want a glass of water would be dua një gotë ujë. Dua një gotë ujë. Another important word, which happens to be international as well, is the word for taxi. In Albanian, we say taksi. Taksi. How would you say, I want a taxi? Dua një taksi. Dua një taksi. Now let's add another important word, the word please. In Albanian it is ju lutem. Ju lutem. Ju lutem. Ju lutem. Two words. Ju lutem. Ju lutem. How would we say, I want a cup of coffee, please? Dua një kafe, ju lutem. Or dua një filxhan kafe. If the word filxhan is difficult for you, you may eliminate it in Albanian. Just say, I want a coffee. You can also say a tea, please. How would that be? Një çaj, ju lutem. Because a is një and t is çaj. A bottle of milk, please, would be një shishe qumësht, ju lutem. I want a taxi, please. Dua një taksi, ju lutem. Or you can also say a taxi, please. Një taksi, ju lutem. Both versions are correct. So this was lesson number 1. Do not worry too much if you do not understand everything, because it will become clear in other lessons. Feel free to replay the audio as many times as you want and try to make the pronunciation as good as possible. Thank you. By the way, thank you is faleminderit. 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 But we will deal with this word in future lessons because this has a very specific formation. Goodbye. Mirupavshim.